Hey everyone, it's your girl Amarachi. This is the Playing with Portals YouTube channel where we discuss all things spiritual, intellectual, and things of that nature. Today I want to talk about 3 things that people in the energy healing space can do to better run their practice and better serve the people they work with. So I used to be in the energy healing space doing hand healing. I want to say maybe it was 2022, I think it was. So it was for about a year that I worked in that space. And unfortunately, I had some things happen that led me out of that space. But in my time there are still things that I looked at as things that maybe people could more fully implement into their practices to kind of prevent patients having negative experiences and also prevent burnout on the behalf of the practitioner. All right, so let's go ahead and get started here. So the first thing is be okay with not administering whatever form of energy currency that you use. What exactly do I mean by that? So a patient might come to you and say, hey, I'm here for hand healing and I'm here for that practice. And you're like, yep, I'm ready. But as you talk to the patient, as they're talking to you and you're listening to them, you realize, okay, actually for you, you might just need somebody to talk to, right? So instead of doing the hand energy, the first session, what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna listen to you talk about things that are going on in your life. And maybe the second time they come, it's also just talk therapy. And the third time is talk therapy. And maybe the fourth session that you book with them or they book with you, that is when you actually administer the hand healing. The reason I say this is because I have seen instances where some individuals really just need somebody to talk to. And a lot of times it's like, let's just go straight to the spirit, let's just go straight to the source. But sometimes they really just need to start out with somebody talking to them or somebody listening to them, airing out their grievances, unloading all of that, because that in itself is also energy, right? That's also an energy transaction that's happening. And what this also does is lets you know what kind of state the person you're working with is in. Because let's be real, when you undergo certain energy therapies, it's pretty intense and there are going to be a lot of emotions and thoughts and things that they've buried or that they have thought they have buried that are going to come to the surface. And some people do not handle that well. So when you kind of use this talk process, one, it allows them to offload, you're starting with the basics. So they're just offloading whatever it is simply by talking. But it also allows you to see what state they're in before you go ahead and do anything maybe more in-depth and more serious, and see whether they'll be able to handle maybe some of the emotional and mental shifts that might happen when you conduct an energy healing session with them, because not everybody is prepared for that. Not everybody's prepared to do that work. That's just the real thing. So the first thing I would suggest is be okay with talking to somebody and realizing, you know what, I actually think that you will benefit more from talk therapy in this moment. Let's just use this session to talk about what's going on. Let's just do that. And that's where it might be helpful if you are into any kind of energy therapy to also have maybe a degree in counseling, a degree in psychology, or just do a good job of fine-tuning those communication skills with your patients in case you come up in that scenario. The second thing that I would recommend is for you to be okay with not scheduling clients back to back. The reason why I say this is because sometimes in these energy healing spaces, dealing directly with someone's energy can be very draining, right? It can be very draining. And when you are doing these intimate energy transfers, you need to make sure that you give yourself sufficient time to decompress from whatever energy you picked up from that person. One, it will affect you if you dealt with some heavy energy and then you go to somebody else with still having that heavy energy that from the previous client, and then you go to somebody else. What you then risk is also transferring previous client's energy to a new client, and then you create a whole host of problems for yourself as well as for the new person. So by creating some space, you allow yourself to properly decompress, detach from that session, and replenish yourself and go into the session anew. And this is something not even just for energy people in the energy space. This is just in general, right? Like any practice where you see clients, even if you're just a straight up talk therapist, straight up like counselor, right? It would probably behoove you to maybe set 10, 15, even 20. And if you're able to, even 30 minutes in between clients, if you're even able to do that, so that you're able to decompress and properly, let yourself calm down before seeing someone else. Even in the medical space, in the traditional medical space, if you're a physician, if you have the power to put gaps in between patients, I would do that as well, right? So this is not just about energy. This is just in general, right? Now, I know certain people are in certain settings where it's back to back to back. Unfortunately, you might not be able to do that. But if you have a lunch break, use that first 5 minutes of your lunch break to just deep breath, decompress, release, say some nice affirmations to yourself to get yourself feeling up again. Maybe dance. Dancing is really good for releasing energy and calling in good energy. Maybe sing a little bit. Maybe go for a little walk. Do these little things, right, that help replenish and rejuvenate the energy before you go ahead and take on someone else. I want to touch on the second point of transferring energy from one person to another. One myth that people say in the energy healing space is that you can't transfer what you have to somebody else. That is actually not true. And that's one of the, I think, more dangerous things that are taught. So people think I can maybe not have the best energy, but it doesn't matter because, it's the universe, whatever. The reality is if you are the vessel being used for that transfer, what you have in you is also being transferred as well. So you want to make sure that if you are dealing with someone's energy, you're dealing with and you want to make sure that your vessel is clear, because the unfortunate thing is you do take on when you do energy exchanges and you don't detach properly, you are still connected to your client, right? So that's still a continual energy stream. So you want to make sure that you decompress properly, you cut those cords properly, cut those ties properly, and replenish your energy before you go out, right? Because then you do risk transfer. I also liken it to if you're a doctor, right? You're a doctor and you see one patient, you examine them and your hands are dirty, and then you go see another patient and you examine them, then you see another patient and you didn't wash your hands in between patients. You've spread the germ around. It's the same thing with the energy healing space. You spread that energy around. It's the same thing. So do not think, oh, because I'm using this outside power's energy, it doesn't matter. That's not how it works. Unfortunately, that's not how it works. So you want to make sure that you wash your hands, cleanse your hands, break the tie before you go on to another client, okay? Because then you risk infecting other clients with energy that is not theirs, and it's not always helpful what you're sending, right? Because you deal with people with different ranges of issues. So you don't want to take somebody else's energy if they're not in a good spot and transfer that to someone else. And I say that from experience as someone who that has happened to, right? So I know some people might get defensive. I have had that happen to me, and it is something that I still work through. So the consequences can be very, very great. So that is why I'm begging you, please make sure you take some time before you jump from client to client, okay? Last but not least, the third tip that I recommend for people in this space is create a practice where you offer multiple things. Like I said, with when it comes to transfer, you as the practitioner, your state, your mind, your energy does matter. So the idea of, oh, it doesn't matter, I can skip over these things because it's the universe, that's wrong, right? So if you are not in a good mood and you are trying to do a positive energy transfer, that doesn't really make sense. Your mentality, it does affect the session, right? So if you are not in a good mood, right, you might need to be open with clients and say, hey, if I have a family emergency, or if I am going through some really, really, trying issues at this moment, at this time, I'm going to have to reschedule your session because I do not want to create an environment where I don't send you the best energy. That is something a clause I would recommend having in whatever agreement you have your client sign. right? Just so you give yourself that buffer. Now, of course, you cannot do that all the time, because then that's not fair to the person coming to you for healing. But you want to make sure it's there in case of emergency, or in case there are periods where you are really just going through mentally, it is just not good, right? To counter that though, because that would be an income loss, it is good to have other things that you can offer instead, right? So for example, it can be, okay, for this month, unfortunately, because I lost my parents, I know I'm not in a good state, so I'm not offering energy healing sessions, I'm only doing talk therapy. Or if you are a creative, right, you can also do create forms of art. Okay, I'm not doing energy healing right now. What I'm doing is I'm actually I'm helping people who want to write as a form of expression, because I'm a writing coach, right? Or I make digital products, so I want to, I'm focusing on my digital products. Or I'm in graphic design, so I'm doing that as well. And then if there are other forms of healing, so maybe you're also an herbalist. Hey, so I'm not doing energy healing right now, I'm really focusing on herbal consultations, right? So you want to build your practice up in a way so that when your mood falls, but you still need income, you still need to work, you still are able to offer people something, right? And then when you get better, you feel like you're able to handle that energy exchange more in a better way, then you can start offering that again. Okay, so this is one to protect yourself and to protect people, because like I said, unfortunately, yes, the reality is you can't transfer whatever you have to a person, whether you intend to or not. So that's why it's not just about having good intentions when you do this work, it's also about making sure your lifestyle and your vessel are able to handle it, right? So you are truly giving people the best energy possible. Okay, and then also to protect yourself, right? Because you need time to heal and get yourself going as well. All right, and on top of that, sometimes doing the hand healing can be draining for some people. When you have multiple offerings, right, it also allows you to kind of call your energy back, so you can do other things that are still in that realm, but they're not maybe as direct and not as taxing on you, if that is your experience as someone who has been a practitioner. Okay. All right, so thank you all so much for watching. Once again, this is the Playing with Portals YouTube channel. Please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much. I appreciate and love you all. I hope you all have a great one, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.